headmaster of the asylum Maison de Santé. This is my friend, Mademoiselle Lamond. She is very interested in your establishment so she can better understand your soothing system.
Yes, she is your friend?
She is.
Then I would be very glad to show her the...
Very well, and now I must be on my way.
You cannot stay?
I will not stay in a place that
You
is...
insult us?
No, it is just...
Our system of soothing?
No, it is just... business. Legal business. I do not have the time, but my friend, she is a vacation lad.
Oh, and I'm very interested in the soothing system.
Yes. And you cannot stay? She is afraid. Please, madam, let me show you our hospitality.
But the lunatics, are they free?
Oh no, our system of soothing, we as finally, we got rid of that many months ago. Granted, it was a very good system, it had great successes. But recently, we adopted the system of Dr. Top, a Professor Fezzik, to much greater, to overwhelming success. Please, madam, let us go in.
I learned the system of soothing when I was in Paris. That punishment of the inmates was avoided, that confinement was even seldom resorted to. They were allowed to roam the house and ordinarily a pair of persons in their right mind. The excellent administration here is very well known in Paris.
Well, I would thank you to show prudence in this. In the past, our patients, when the old system was in effect, when all the inmates worked free, they were sometimes aroused to frenzy by injudicious persons who came to visit the house.
Oh, and you no longer use it?
By no means. It has been several weeks since we finally renounced it forever.
Indeed.
No. Yes, I believe we gave it a fair trial, but I presume you know its details.
Well, not altogether.
Well, we allowed them to walk free among the house, and any fantasies that enter their brains, we allowed them to do it. If a man imagined himself a chicken, we fed him a diet of corn and gravel.
And this was all?
By no means. There was many amusements. Music, books, dancing. Oh, all these things. And, the word lunacy was never employed. And we had each of the madmen guard the others. And so this gave confidence to the lunatic. And so, we got to do away with the keepers.
No punishment?
None.
You never confined your patients?
Very rarely. Only the raging maniacs.
And now you have changed all this?
Oh yes, we have. And I will give you a tour of it after dinner.
But this new operation, is it your own invention?
In some measure. However, it is somewhat shocking, and I do not wish to upset your appetite. Please, let us go.
And this castle decided in front of us very on his own. She was careful to polish up every morning with the box came arriving.
Then we had a fair absent who had taken it into her head that she was a donkey, which, allegorically speaking, of course it was quite true. For a long time she eats nothing but thistles, but to be pure to her by insisting she eats nothing else. Then she was always kicking out her heels, so matter was not to cook. Please keep your fate to yourself. Indeed, you're nearly as much as a donkey as the poor woman imagined herself to be. 1,000 pardons, Madame Laplace. I will do the honor of taking her immediately.
Madame, may I send you a piece of this veal?
No thanks. I do not think it pleases me. Will I ever have some of the rabbit?
Pass the woman a piece of the rabbit hachou.
I'm sorry. The what?
The rabbit hachou.
Oh, no thanks. I think I'll just have a piece of the
And among other things, we had a bitch who maintained she was a good overchase. And what about was enough? Soliciting brains, glorious most next, properly.
That man was no doubt a great fool, but not to be compared with the man who thought that he was a bottle of champagne and would go off with a pop and a feat in this fashion.
Then we had an ignorant who was took himself for a himself between his own finger and thumb.
And then there was Jules Soleil, a very similar genius who was a mad because he thought that he was a pumpkin and persuaded Zikud into making him into a pie. Which I assure you Zikud did not do. However, for my part, I believe pumpkin pie and the Soleil were made capital eating.
Madame, please, you must not take her friend here through the letter. She is a wit.
Then there was Bobina Brandt. She fancied she possessed two heads. It is not impossible she was wrong, but she would have convinced you she was right. She has an absolute passion for oratory. For example, she would jump upon her chair and thus, "Your madam, Boyan, was a mad woman. A very silly mad woman. Now Monsieur Gaius was a more sensible person. He found, upon mature deliberation, by some accident, that he had been turned into a rooster. But he maintained propriety. He blacked his wings with prodigious effect. So. And as for his crow,
Monsieur Goyus, you must behave yourself or quit the table for Swiss.
Monsieur Goyus?
Sir Goyus, what a thing. Now, Eugenie Salsa was of much same sense. A painfully modest young lady who thought as though just to be indecent. And so, dressed herself outside of the clothes. Thus,
Enough! We see how it is done. The lunatics. Every once in a while, they get a howl like the dogs in the night. And occasionally, after this, they, make an attempt at an escape. And so there is some warning of danger.
How many of them are there?
About 10.
Principally females, I presume.
Oh no, every one of them men. And quite stout fellows, I can tell you.
Indeed. I've always understood that the majority of lunatics were of the gentler sex.
It is generally so. Even here, recently we had 27 patients, and of that number, 18 of them were female. But all of that has changed now. Changed quite much. Hold your tongues, every one of them.
And this gentleman, the one who gives us the cocoa-doodle, he is, I presume, quite harmless?
Harmless? Wait, what can you mean?
Only slightly touched. I take it for granted that he is not particularly dangerously affected.
Sacre what is it you imagine of me? Your boy uses as much sane mind as me.
To be sure, to be sure. And the rest of these ladies and gentlemen?
Are my friends and assistants.
All of them? The women?
We could not do without the women. They are the finest lunatic nurses in the world.
To be sure, to be sure. They behave a little oddly though, a little queer, don't you think?
Odd? Queer? Do you really think so?
Yes.
We do not think of ourselves as too prudish here. Live as we like, live the good life. What's that sort of thing?
To be sure, to be sure. By the by, Monsieur, do I understand you to say that the system you have adopted in the place of the system of Suzy, it is a very rigorous severity?
By no means. Their confinement is rather close, no necessity, but their treatment, their medical treatment, is rather agreeable to the patients.
And this new system, is it your own invention?
In some measure, there are parts of it that are referable to the great Dr. Todd, of which I think you have heard, and other pieces referable to the great Professor Feather, of whom, if I'm not mistaken, you have had personal acquaintance.
I must admit, I do not know either of these men.
You cannot mean... Good heavens, you do not mean to tell me that you have never heard of the great Dr. Todd or the learned
them with deliberate care. Monsieur Maillard, I must confess it, you've really made me ashamed of myself.
Say no more, my young good friend. Join me in the glass of Saturn.
You mentioned something before dinner about the dangers in the old system of choosing.
Oh yes, sometimes very great danger.
How was that?
Well, Locke says, sometimes it is never safe to allow a madman to roam free among the house. He is too cunning. He may not be choosed as it is called. You know, as Professor Feather says, once a madman starts looking surely sane, that is the moment to put him in a straitjacket.
And this danger, sir, have you had any practical experiences?
Here? Yes. Not long ago, when the system of choosing was still in effect, we had a madman. They all came and they pinioned the hands and the feet of the keepers, and then they, took charges of this.
You don't say. I've never heard of anything so absurd in my life.
It's true. It all came to pass by a very stupid-looking fellow who thought of himself that he had come up with a greater system of the government. And by this, he had convinced all the other pictures to go into conspiracy to overthrow the ruling powers.
And he succeeded?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry to say he threw them into their cells in a very cavalier manner.
But I assume the counter-revolution would have been in effect. The neighbors, the visitors, someone would have given the alarm.
And there you are out! The madman was not quite so much a fool as I ever thought. He looked inside. There was no exceptions, except for one day, he let a very, very stupid-looking young woman in and showed her around, let her in, and just to have a little fun, and then they sent her on her way.
And how long then did the madman reign?
Oh, a very long time. I cannot quite say, but they had a jolly season about it. Made free with the family wardrobe and jewels and these devils. They found the wine cellar and these devils knew how to drink it.
And how long then did the madman reign?
Oh, a very long time, a month at least. I do not quite know, but